Yeah. Should we move on to Tyler Reddick here, Kyle, and what this does for him? I mean, who knows really? Because this guy seems to be going and being pulled in two different directions, really. Like RCR says they're committed to having 3 chartered cars. They have not yet purchased the third charter from what we all know right now. But he said he talked to Tyler Reddick the morning of the Kyle Busch press conference. So, this is obviously late in the going here that they let a guy know that, maybe does or doesn't deserve a bit of notice in a situation like this, because obviously RCR was really hurt by what Reddick did, but I can't blame Reddick. Going to get your plan set. There's an open ride in the future. See what you want to do. I think it's a bit of an overreaction from Richard Childress and RCR in general, how they've handled this whole situation. So I feel bad for Tyler Reddick because I think he's super talented and he's a great race car driver, but if he does stay at RCR, because he still is under contract for them with them for one more year, how much of a distraction would this be for him? And if not, would 2311 be willing to buy out the number that I'm sure RCR is really sticking to buy him out of his contract for a year early? But then that would all depend on if Kurt Busch comes back, and does 2311 want to buy that third charter now, or do they want to wait a year and maybe save some extra money because they know they have him for 2024? Lots of different layers to this. What are your initial thoughts on where Tyler Reddick will drive in 2023, Kyle? And then what's going to happen where he does drive in 2023?
Yeah, I'm like 98% sure that it'll be at RCR. Just everything that we've heard from Richard Childress, everything that we've heard from Reddick indicates that they'll be keeping the deal together next year. It's just a matter of what capacity it'll be in. I just can't see a scenario where 2311 decides to buy him out early, where Childress agrees to it, and kind of all that kind of weird contract stuff that you got to love.
Yeah.
If Kurt Busch isn't able to return next year, or likes to retire, I think that we'd see somebody like John Hunter Nemechek probably step into that ride as like a 1-year stopgap kind of thing. But for Reddick going into next year, it's weird that he's at the same team, but is getting a new number, new crew chief, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
It's very weird. But I'm excited to see kind of what happens. We're going to see Reddick versus Busch 1v1, essentially. Austin Dillon's there as well, but we'll see them go head to head at the same team. And I'm fascinated to see the end result.
Yeah, I think Kyle Busch versus Tyler Reddick is going to be very fascinating, Kyle. These two are completely different stages of their careers. This is Tyler Reddick, a guy that's a 2-time Xfinity Series champion who is really starting to prove himself in the Cup Series level. And with 2 wins this season on road courses where we have seen Chase Elliott dominate in the past couple of years, that says a lot. This guy is talented behind the wheel, hasn't quite been able to put it together on the ovals as of yet. I have a feeling if Homestead comes around here and he's still in that playoff mix, if he can survive Bristol here this weekend and get through the next round, he's going to be in that mix for the victory at Homestead, given his pedigree there. I do agree with you that I think he's going to be at RCR next year. I think it's probably about a 90% chance that he's going to be. I doubt that 2311 sees it, viable and worthy of buying him out of a contract 1 year early when they really have no reason to. If Kurt Busch comes back, they're in no rush. And I think Kurt Busch is coming back next year.
I do too.
I don't think he's going to end his career on a qualifying wreck at Pocono. That's just not the way a defending or a former champion, should go out with the level that Kurt Busch has raced at in his entire career. It's not like he's no slouch. He won a race this year. He won at Kansas. Like, this is a guy who can still win races and perform.
He's consistently won races. That was one of the main topics we talked about.
Yeah, and he's a value to a team of 2311 right now. I don't know if you necessarily want to go into their 3rd year in the Cup Series with a young duo of Reddick and Bubba Wallace yet. I think that obviously that's your future, but I still think 1 more year of Kurt Busch does not hurt any organization, no matter what situation you're in. So I think he's coming back. What does that mean for RCR in 2024? Do they look to sell that charter? Do they look to bring somebody else in? Do they try and make that a 3-horse powerhouse if there's another big name that's on the market? Do they look in their Xfinity Series pipeline with maybe if Sheldon Creed takes that next step next season? He's not even probably going to make the playoffs this year. So it would be quite the leap of him going to the Cup Series. But, we have seen guys come into the Cup Series when they have been a little bit of a mediocre Xfinity Series driver, and they give him that shot on Sundays. But Not to say that that is going to be the case for Sheldon Creed or maybe Austin Hill or whoever they decide to put in that third charter if they're able to get that. And it's just a lot of money going into a third car for 1 year of Tyler Reddick. And then you got to figure out your future plans after that. I'm curious to see what they do. I do want to see Reddick over there because I think 3 cars over there is better than 2 when you have a driver like Tyler Reddick that was, an Xfinity Series guy coming up and you're buying a third charter. Not really of value right now, but, Reddick brings a lot to the table, and he's a guy that has a lot of speed, raw talent, and I think he's got something to prove next year that he's gonna, 2311 are getting a good guy here. So we'll see what happens with Tyler Reddick in 2023. Any more comments you have to add on Reddick?
Yeah, just finally, yeah. I think what RCR ends up doing is they end up leasing the second charter from Spire Motorsports. I think that's kind of the workaround for Chevrolet, because obviously Spire Motorsports, Chevy team heavily linked with Hendrick Motorsports, all those kind of things. The second charter, they just kind of do whatever with. I think they'll end up leasing that for the 1 year to RCR. I don't think that they'll expand to a full-time 3-car team into the future. I think it'll be a 1 year kind of thing where they take the charter from Spire. Spire can focus on their 1 car. Chevy helps RCR out for the year, and they kind of go from there after a year and kind of figure out where that other charter ends up going. But I think that's what the kind of the solution to this kind of awkward charter stuff will be for next year.